Everyone knows all guests on Zaslow Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of Zaslow Show 2.0, Johnny Cuba. Pick up a six-pack. Hey, you may need all six of them tonight. Pick up a six-pack at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. We're talking European roots with that Caribbean soul. Pick up a refreshing German lager in a can. Always drink responsibly when you're drinking Johnny Cuba. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us here, SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio, Morning Men. Everybody knows my favorite show in the world is our pal Evan Cohen here with us, who also represents the Heat like no one else on a national level. Huge Miami Heat fan. Evan, good morning. I appreciate you hanging out with us here on Memorial Day. And tonight, it ends one way or the other. Either this team finally puts away the Celtics or they suffer the biggest collapse in the history of the NBA. And we are a laughing stock forever. You'll never be able to live it down. The stakes couldn't be higher. How are you?
Yeah, I'm anticipating 8:30. Let's just get us to 8:30 here. Couple of things. So I don't want to nitpick this. I don't think it's the biggest collapse in NBA history. Well, one, I don't think it's going to happen. But two, if it does happen, hypothetically, I think the Warriors against the Cavs is still the biggest collapse. 73 wins, up 3-1 in the finals, much bigger stakes, okay? But I do agree with you. I have played out for a little bit in my head all of the people that have said, you know what, I got to apologize to the Heat. Heat culture is a real thing. They really do things that nobody else does. That all goes out the window if they lose tonight. I mean, that's it. Like, we're going to hear all the Heat culture stuff. They'll never live it down. You're 1,000% right. And in my lifetime, in your lifetime, if you think about it, like the New England Patriots have the single greatest win and the single greatest loss of our lifetime. If you actually think about it, right? They have the single greatest win down 28-3 and the single greatest loss as an 18-0 season, right? In the Super Bowl, losing to the Giants. The Heat have some of the greatest wins of our lifetime as a basketball fan, whether I'm not even saying Heat fan, just in general. The championships they've won, right? The Ray Allen shot, that series, to have some of the greatest wins. I played out the nervousness of, oh my God, are they also going to have the greatest loss? Because it kind of works both ways. But that all said, Zaz, okay, and I know I'm long-winded on this, but I need to say something. There is nothing about this season that has made sense. Nothing. They do absolutely nothing in the offseason. Nothing, right? There's no move that you sit here going into the season and say, oh, there you go. Whether you're supportive of P.J. Tucker going or not, they do absolutely nothing in the offseason. They have an awful regular season. Awful. I mean, losses to the Pistons, the Spurs, basically they've lost to the lottery. The entire lottery they have lost to, in some cases, multiple times. They lose a play-in game to Atlanta. They're down with 3 minutes to go to Chicago. Max Strus somehow becomes a hero in a freaking play-in game against the Bulls. They pummel the Bucks. They beat the Knicks, and they're up 3-0 on the Celtics. Nothing has made sense. And it doesn't make sense to go up 3-0. It doesn't make sense to lose 3 in a row. And it doesn't make sense to go on the road and win a game 7. And that is exactly what they're going to do tonight. I'm sick of people like you doubting them. They're going to win, Zaz. They are going to win. From you and JMP and ESPN West Palm, oh, they're over. They're not over. It's starting tonight. I'm tweeting out that damn picture of them being held back by Andy Ellisberg tonight to get ready for the Nuggets. The Morris brothers, Jokic brothers scenario will be brought back up tonight, Zaz.
See, you, this is not a put on. You really believe that the Heat are like, I was texting with you yesterday, and you are very confident going into tonight's game. I'm not. I'll tell you what happened with me. Okay, so I'm a grown up now. Not that I don't take the big Heat losses, hard or very serious. Like, I was super upset when they lost last year, Game 7. Although I was really proud of them at the same time. I got over that one pretty quick. But I was very upset. But I don't react the way that I used to. Okay, yeah, I'm a grown up now. All right, it used to really be life and death with me, and I've gotten away from that. Well, for me, that came back the other night because my behavior throughout the entire Game 6, and I didn't know that I was going to behave like this. I didn't know that I was going to be feeling this way. My behavior for that entire Game 6 was back to like peak fandom madness. And as a result, I was, and probably because I haven't been invested that way in at least a decade. I was completely and am completely emotionally drained after they lost that game, and I can't recover. I have not been able to recover from it.
Well, it's interesting. So during the course of the game and after the Derek White tip-in, I was actually fine. I don't know why I was fine, but I was fine. But then, middle of the night, couldn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep, and any dream I was having that night involved the game. I couldn't sleep.
It was delayed for me. I don't know why I wasn't throwing things on the tip-in. I go to sleep. My wife and daughter were at the Taylor Swift concert, so they weren't around. It was just my son and I. He goes to sleep. He's furious. He's the way that you and I would have been 10 years ago, right? I finally get him to sleep. I go back to my room. I go to sleep, and then 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm wide awake. I can't sleep. I cannot. And then I realize there's 48 hours until another one of these. So it really hit me then. But yes, this is not shtick. I'm really confident because of the fact that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to go on the road and win this game. If this was a logical season, if this was any of the big three seasons, if it was the Wade and Shaq seasons, there are a lot of reasons that makes sense. And if you think about this group, the Jimmy Bam group, and everybody that's been around them for the last 4 years, they're not good as a favorite. They lost the game 7 at home last year to the Celtics. Let's not forget that, right? In some ways, for the first 3 games of this series, they became a favorite. And that's not them. They are like, there's a reason that people, whether it's fair or not, constantly bring up the undrafted stuff. There's a reason that this team loves being the underdogs and being the ones with the chip on their shoulder. Up 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, not with this group. That doesn't fit any part of them. Any part of them. Going and playing a lottery team doesn't fit any part of them. Going on the road to Boston to a Game 7 and winning is everything that this team is. It's not Wade and Shaq. It's not LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. These are not the favorites. I think they're very uncomfortable and out of place as a favorite. And now they're back tonight, I believe, Zaz, in their normal environment as the underdog being counted out. They're back home now. They haven't been home for the last 3 games. That's not who they are. So my reasoning is the only thing that makes sense with this group is that nothing makes sense. I know that's not an X's and O's reason, but that is what I'm hanging my hat on right now.
What do you make of Jimmy's performance? To me, he looks like he's out of gas.
Yeah, and that scares me. And I'm gonna publicly now ask on to your show, Zaslow 2.0, after the season, whenever that is, because I want to talk to you, if I can ask on, about do they championship or not? Do they treat this season as that they were good or bad? And part of it is, do you look at Jimmy and say he has maxed out as a player, which is an amazing compliment, and we'll get him to the Hall of Fame as a guy that could single-handedly-ish take you to the conference finals. Dwayne was not a conference finals guy. Dwayne was a finals guy, right? And so I think there's part of this that, yeah, Jimmy could look out of gas, but I would make the argument, and you may disagree, we haven't seen the playoff Jimmy, I don't think, since the Bucks series.
Right.
The ankle injury, the wear and tear, the ankle injury in the Knicks series, and / like he didn't need to do that against the Knicks.
Well, again, the fourth quarter game 2, this series.
Sure, but that's 1 quarter against the Bucks. And against the Lakers in the finals, it was 4 quarters.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen that version of him. So part of me hopes that shows up tonight and that he really does kind of save those for when he needs to do them. But, I mean, you and I have both been kind of riding the roller coaster with Bam. It's one game you realize, my God, he is dominant without scoring points against the Knicks. Like, he can dominate defensively. This series, in the last few games, I wouldn't say he's dominated defensively or offensively.
He was so good the first couple of games. Oh, he was so good. So good.
But I think they're almost forcing it to him a little bit right now. I would do something different tonight if I'm Spo. And you may think this is crazy, but I would go back to Kevin Love in the starting lineup. I'd bring Caleb Martin off the bench, and I'd have Bam guard Jason Tatum. You're risking foul trouble. I get that. But I put Bam on Tatum, and I'd put Jimmy on Jaylen Brown. And I just say, from the beginning, we're going to guard their best 2 players. I know most people look at them and say, go zone tonight, more zone, because the percentages have worked better in their favor. I just wonder if you need to engage Bam early and maybe playing Bam a little bit more at the point and let him bring up the ball. Just get involved. Do something. That said, if Jimmy takes every single shot tonight, I'm okay with that.
Well, I'll tell you, I know there's been criticism of Jimmy, obviously, because of last game, but I got to be honest with you. No matter what kind of performance we get out of Jimmy tonight, he could be bad again. We can get very little from Jimmy tonight. There is nothing that can happen with Jimmy Butler tonight that's going to have me saying anything negative about him after this series ends, the season ends, or whatever. Like, I have extraordinarily little criticism for Jimmy Butler.
I agree, but let me ask you this. Is this a criticism, or is this if your scenario is correct and mine is not, okay, which means that they go home tonight. If I say, which I did and I'll reiterate, Jimmy Butler is the kind of superstar that can get you to the Eastern Conference Finals, is that an insult?
I don't know. Is that an insult?
I don't think so.
I don't think it is, but I don't know.
Compliments to be had. That's the problem, right? You couldn't say you and I are not LeBron fans, right? At all.
Right.
Like, if we couldn't say, even as haters, oh, LeBron can only get you to the conference finals. That's just not true. I mean, the guy's played in 10 NBA finals, right? If you want to say he's an NBA finals superstar, where Michael is a championship superstar, fine. But Jimmy would, in this scenario, would have been so unbelievable that he would have figured out a way of getting this team that is not loaded with stars to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good, but it's not to the level that we're used to we want to be as Heat fans. That said, don't write them off. I mean, they were not that good in Game 6, and they basically won the game. I mean, we could sit here and talk about the clock situation all day, and it was absurd that they put the 0.9 back on instead of the 0.345, whatever it may be. But, yes, the box out, terrible by the Heat, obviously. But they basically won that game, and they were right there. And this is the kind of game tonight where they're in their element. They're in their environment. They're the underdogs, and they're counted out. They're not the favorites. They're not, in their minds, they're not 1 inch away from the finals, even though they are. I just see them different tonight. I see every part of this series and every part of this year ending in June. And I'll tell you one other thing. You think these basketball gods that are out there are going to sit and let Udonis Haslem finish his career in any other round of the NBA Finals? They know better than that. They know that number 40 ends in June and not in May.
What were your emotions? I want to talk about Game 6 now. All the hot button Game 6 issues. What were your emotions when Jimmy was stepping to the line for the 3 free throws?
I was nervous. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I mean, Jimmy hits most of his free throws.
Did you feel like he was going to get all? I mean, I think he missed 3 free throws early, not in a row. I think he missed 3 free throws earlier in the game. Like, he wasn't shooting the free throws well, like he normally does. Did you feel like he was going to make all 3?
I had my doubts. I'm not going to lie. I almost went into that not caring about the 3. I just wanted the 2. Just get it to overtime. Just get it to overtime. I'm not worried about anything else in that spot. Just get it to overtime. He hits all 3, and it was amazing. And, Spo did say it after the game that their number one focus and their number one priority was making sure Jason Tatum doesn't shoot that final shot, which I'm not mad at.
No, they got it right.
Yeah, they get, like, in terms of the way it went, they got it right.
Yeah, they got it right.
The aftermath. And putting Strus in late was interesting. And I'm a Max Strus fan. I will just ask the question kind of out of the side of my mouth and, like, wondering, like, when did Dr. Robinson get so good at everything? Because he's not even, like, bad on defense.
Well, he's absolutely, like, they're not going to have a problem trading him the offseason now. They're going to find a taker.
Why would you trade him at this point? Strus is going to ask for similar.
Right.
With more years.
So you're saying if you could pick between the two, you would keep Robinson because you cannot keep them both. You can't keep them both.
No, you can't keep them. Regardless of what happens with Tyler Hero, you can't keep both of those guys.
Yeah.
And if Duncan is a playmaker all of a sudden and, like, finishing with his left hand.
I'm really happy for him. I knew he was going to have a place. I knew he was going to have a role. I'm really happy for him. He's been terrific. And I got to tell you, I've already talked about this. I know, throughout all the complaining, and it's like, the thing that I'm most focused on is Duncan missing those 2 threes. For me, that is such a non-factor. It doesn't even compute with me as something to be angry about. Evan, we were up 1 with 2 seconds left. Why do I care that Duncan Robinson
you're right.
missed the three?
You're right. And
I
by
don't
the
care.
way, remember the evolution of this guy's season this year. He wouldn't have taken those a month ago. Right. And so part of it is you have to take those shots. That's the thing with Bam. You know, you've had our buddy Brian Geltzeiler on a bunch from NBA Radio on Sirius. And Geltz says something that I always give him credit for because I think it's really smart. Geltz would say about the Warriors, and it's not apples to apples, but he'd say about the Warriors, he always thought Draymond just needed to shoot. Whether he made the shots or not, he just needed to shoot to make sure that they just didn't ignore him altogether offensively. Nobody's ever going to ignore Duncan Robinson, but I'll apply that logic to two people. Duncan taking those shots is still a good thing.
Yeah.
And Bam's got to shoot. And Jimmy's got to shoot. Like, they just have to shoot the ball more often. And it can't be, well, nobody's going to shoot, so Caleb will try to bail you out, which is an amazing statement even in itself. But, my God, what would you do starting lineup tonight, Jazz?
I would probably stick with the same group they had last game.
So you're going short in rotation.
Yeah.
And you're going, I know you don't want to play Lowry off the bench, but you probably have to, right?
I don't know why they have to. Like, the reason that they have to is because, okay, we don't have another ball handler because Tyler's out. Jimmy and Bam are the ball handlers. Like, you don't need that ball handler off the bench. So, no, I would not play Lowry, and I would give Haywood Highsmith all of Lowry's minutes. Like, why wouldn't I give those minutes to a guy who could bother Jason Tatum and knock down a corner three? Now, they're going to play Lowry because their thought process is going to be, hey, this moment right here, game 7, this is exactly why we brought you here. So
right.
We're going to trust the reasons that we brought you here, and we're going to play you tonight, even though you're a terrible player. We're going to trust our initial instincts 2 years ago as to why you're here, and you're going to play tonight. So they're definitely going to play him. But I wouldn't. I would give Haywood Highsmith all of his minutes tonight.
So if it was up to Coach Zaslow tonight, there would be 7 guys playing with only Highsmith and Robinson off the bench. Is that correct?
No. Well, you're going to need some size minutes at one point, be either Love or Zeller to come in for Bam. You can't play 48 minutes. So we're talking 8 guys.
I mean,
so we're talking 8 guys.
Right, but Bam and Jimmy have to play as close to 48 minutes as they possibly can.
They have to play as much as they can unless they look to the side and say, hey, I need a blow. Otherwise, they play.
There are probably 3 guys that need to play at this point 44 or more. The 2 we just mentioned and Caleb Martin.
And by the way, is that not the worst bench? By the way, is that not the worst bench ever in a game 7 that I just gave you? Zeller, Robinson, Highsmith?
Well, but you're choosing not to use the 2 guys that have won championships and been all-stars, right? So that's all. You're choosing not to use them. Let me just ask a ridiculous one. Is there any chance Boy Wonders dusted off tonight?
I thought he was going to play game 6. And because he did not, I do not believe there's a chance of him playing tonight. If you were going to play him, you got to have at least the warm-up game 6.
Why do you have to play him? I'm just saying dress him.
Oh, well, okay.
Get in their head a little bit, hey, we got to worry about something different.
But if they were going to do that, you wouldn't have listed him out yesterday. You should have listed him questionable.
You're probably right about that. Yeah, he's clearly not going to play. I just was thinking about if there's any chance that they could just dress him to throw.
Then they should have listed him yesterday. Doubtful.
So there's something else. So JMP, who Jeremy Marspeltz, ESPN West Palm, texted me the other day. He said basically game 7, the way he's looking at it is Spoelstra versus the Celtics, which I thought was an interesting thing. You almost need to do something that they haven't seen. I don't know if it's the Nick Nurse with the Raptors boxing one on Steph on Jason Tatum. I don't know what it is, but I do wonder if Spoelstra is going to come up with something, because if anyone could do it, he can. He also sticks to his guns. He doesn't randomly try things for no reason. And maybe it is more zone. Maybe it is more Bam at the 1 and bringing up the ball in the pick and roll with Bam and Jimmy. I'm not sure what it is, but you do wonder, Zaz, if there's anything Spo can do tonight to kind of just try something different to disrupt the flow.
I don't know how much different there is once you get to game 7. I think the later in the series you get, especially with 2 really good teams, it's not about the adjustments anymore. There's no tricking. There's no surprising. Like, we're at the place where, yeah, it's going to be their best against our best. Like, I think I think once you're in game, like I don't think you're saving anything by the time you got to game 7. I think by the time you get here, it's like, all right, we've shown you everything we've got. So you've shown us everything you got. Now we're just going to go out there and like, we got to play. Like, I don't think there's any more surprises to be had at this point.
Well, there's one thing I would do defensively, one thing I would consider, and I know this may sound ridiculous based on the way he's played. I try to get Marcus Smart's mindset into being a scorer on the ball immediately and not there for a kick out and not there to take the open shot. Marcus Smart has a habit historically of when he thinks he's on taking bad shots, and it always hurts the Celtics. So I would try any way I can of making him into, and mindset-wise, a scorer right off the bat. I mean, and let's be honest, you hate Kyle Lowry, but Kyle Lowry tried to break Jaylen Brown's wrist. I mean, that was pretty clear. He tried to
the only thing he's done this series is be really dirty. It's the only thing he's done.
It's something. I mean, it's not how I would advise playing, but it's something. But trust me, in the middle of the night the other night when I can't sleep, you don't think I'm thinking about, can they just start Udonis and can he knock the crap out of some of these guys? It went through my mind. I mean, let's be honest.
Let me ask you here. Let's talk about game 6. Officiating. Do you get wrapped up in, and I'm not just talking about the conspiracy theory stuff. We got weird Eric Lewis stuff going on out there. There's the video of him from game 2 where he really makes a frown face after a basket by Jimmy Butler, which is so odd. I don't even know what to do with that. But the conspiracy stuff, NBA wants to get to game 7. NBA wants Boston in the finals. Scott Foster's officiating this game, whatever. Do you get wrapped up in that kind of stuff?
No, because I just refuse to believe that the NBA is rigged. I refuse to believe it. Do I believe there could be a one-off person like Donaghy? Of course. Do I believe there's something weird with this Twitter from Eric Lewis, the referee? Sure. Do I think the NBA wants a game 7? And yes. Do I think they're going to act on it? Absolutely not. Do I think that they want as many people watching the NBA finals as possible? Of course. Here's the problem with that whole argument. The Nuggets are in the finals already. They just swept the Lakers with LeBron James. So, isn't that to some extent out the window? I don't think the NBA, if the NBA is anti-Heat, why would they be the best team in the Eastern Conference over the last almost 20 years? Why would they have more finals appearances than anybody? Why would they have why is it like the last 20 years of basically, it's the Heat, it's the Warriors and the Spurs, right? And however you want to look at it, over the 20, 25 years, whatever, since the Heat won a title in 06, right? I just don't see that the NBA is anti-Heat. In that specific moment with the clock, I didn't understand it, right? I thought that was terrible.
Yeah, so let's talk about the clock now here.
Yeah, but I would want to point one thing out, and somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter. So with the Saints and the Rams in the NFC title game years ago, or whatever it was, when there was that ridiculous call and then everybody was going crazy, I always said on the air, and you've probably heard me say this, well, wait a minute. And I said this to Sean Payton's face, and he got mad at me in an interview once. I said, you guys took the lead on the next play. You kick a field goal. Brees throws an interception in overtime. That's on you. That's not on the refs. He took the lead.
Did you actually say to Sean Payton, that's on you?
Oh, I don't know if I said it that. No, that would have been that would have been Dog who would have had the guts. I don't have full guts in that regard. But I said, give me a break. You weren't screwed. You took the lead on the next play, right? So can we really say the Heat were screwed? No, because Jimmy hit the 3 free throws. It was one of the weirdest things because
I don't believe that. I don't believe what you just said. That they weren't screwed there because literally the Celtics wouldn't have had time. Like it wouldn't have been possible for the thing that happened to happen. Like it's not like if Marcus Smart hit the shot, then okay, like they weren't screwed, but he didn't. He missed it, and because they added the more time, they were allowed to do the other thing. So I don't agree with that.
Okay, but they still had the lead on an inbounds at home to try to win to go to the finals, right? Which again, that's them as the favorite, and not the underdog. So that's not their natural environment, is how I look at it. But I also don't understand, should it be 3 shots or 2 shots? Did the foul happen before the shot or after the shot? And if it happened after the shot, there can't be 3 seconds. If it happened before the shot,
all right. So here's the thing. So like the league's 2-minute report came out yesterday. Right. Everything in that scenario was right. They ruled. Here's the thing. That means nothing to me because here's the thing. The league's last 2-minute reports, they're going to, what do you mean? It's like they're not covering anything up. They make mistakes and they say it all the time in the league's 2-minute report. No, what they do in the league's 2-minute report is There are live action whistles, live action calls, which mistakes are made all the time. And so those are listed as correct or incorrect in the league's last 2-minute reports. There is no chance that after a play goes to video review, not a live action ruling, a video review, that they are then going to come out in the league's 2-minute reports and say that they still got it wrong, because then you lose all credibility when guys are on the phone and on the headset and they're talking to Secaucus and they're looking at slow-mo replay and everything. There is no chance that they were going to say that they got that wrong, because otherwise, what the hell are we doing with replay? So the fact that the last 2-minute report said they got that right means nothing to me. Nothing.
I think that's very well said and very well thought out. I totally agree with you on that, because there's other elements to that. The other thing that bothers me is, can someone explain the technical foul on the rim and the hanging on the rim?
I still haven't gotten an explanation. I've had to figure that out myself. Now, I think I have the answer, but I still haven't gotten an explanation.
But it's a foul, goaltending, and like hanging on the what?
Yeah. So apparently, when you hang on the rim during play, it's a technical foul. Period.
So that's the one shot.
Now because he hung on the rim, they're ruling that allowed him to block the shot, legally block the shot, but because he held the rim, so it's going to be a goaltend. And then you also had the foul, so it's a 4-point mess is what it ended up being. But still, no one's explained it to me.
But here's the problem, though, with that. I mean, I understand that, but in theory, hanging on the rim should negate anything that happens next, because a technical foul would be the immediate action of you call the T, and then whatever happens after that is null and void, no?
No, it's just that action is an automatic technical foul. Hanging on the rim for an advantage during play is an
they
automatic
should stop
technical
the game at that point.
Well, but they did. Well, but they did, right? The whistle blew for a foul, right?
But after that, they didn't explain that at all.
It was a mess.
It was a total mess.
It was a mess. And then I don't believe in any of the conspiracy theory stuff. No. I think mistakes are made, but I don't believe in any of the conspiracy theory stuff. For the life of me, I don't know how the Jaylen Brown hook that Spo challenged in the second quarter, and he never challenges before late in the fourth quarter. So you know how sure they were that they were going to win that one. And like, it saved a point. We're not trying to save a point. We're trying to save 3 points and get a fourth foul picked up on Jaylen Brown there.
Remove a third foul from Caleb Martin.
Like well, they did remove that foul.
Because, I know, but I'm saying that there was 3 or 4 elements of that challenge, which is why he did it so early. And I was surprised he did it also. But it was the hook. It was the foul. It should have been an offensive foul on Brown, which then eliminates the 2 and eliminates the chance at a 3, and then eliminates the third foul on
puts
Caleb
Brown on the bench.
Correct.
And so then if we talk about the final play, all right, the 0.9 seconds. I don't believe there's any conspiracy bullshit going on. I just believe they fucked up. I believe they got it wrong, all right? Because if the foul is with 3 seconds left, we've seen all the still pictures at this point. I'm not even sure that Horford's hand is on Jimmy's hip yet. If you want to say that it is, okay, well, it can't be both. If the foul occurred right there, then it's a 2-shot foul.
Yep.
Like that's clear as day. That's a 2-shot foul then. If the foul is called with the hack, and listen, Evan, there is no chance with the Eastern Conference Championship on the line, they're calling a foul with 3 seconds left because Horford's hand was grazing Jimmy Butler's hip. Fucking bullshit. No way was that the call that was made. The call was when he hacked him across his arms with, I don't know, the clock stopped at 2.1. Do you want to call it 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7? Okay, but it wasn't 3. I know that for sure. So, and then there's the whole scenario of, I keep seeing this. The TV clock is not the same as the actual game clock.
I've seen that, yep.
I've been watching the NBA my entire life. I've never heard that argument. Now, that could be true. I've never heard that come into play. How many times do we see clock has to be adjusted at the end of a game, and they do it, and none of us are confused because the game clock is not synced with the TV clock? It's never happened before. And then with the final play of the game, I'm watching the game. Why was it miraculously synced perfectly for Derek White's putback? I'm looking at the TV clock there. I see the game clock as well. They're perfectly in sync. They fixed it in that 2-minute stretch right there to make sure it was okay. That's bullshit, Evan. It's bullshit.
I totally agree with you. I'm going to point out one other thing about that final play that I have not heard anybody say. Maybe it's been said and I didn't hear. And I felt this all year long. That shot against Boston a year ago, the missed three, has truly impacted Jimmy Butler in a way that I think that we don't talk about enough. I said to my son when they were down 2 in that moment, he's taking a 3, and he's taking last year's 3. And that's what he was hunting.
Yeah.
He's been hunting that shot.
Yeah, he wants it back
all year.
Yeah.
He wants that back so badly that I actually think, and
you weren't saying on that play, go for the 3. I was saying it out loud, shoot the 3, shoot the 3.
No,
I wanted it.
No, but I said he's going to shoot that shot. And if you watch the play again, that's what he tried to do. They cut him off there. He had to go to the corner as a result. I'm telling you, Zaz, he has been trying to make up for that shot all year
I think
long.
you're right. I think you're right.
And if there's that moment tonight, he will try to do it again. That shot has affected that man in a way that he does not think about everything he did to get them into that position.
It's like Roy McAvoy in Tin Cup. He refuses to take any other shot. He needs to do he needs to do the shot or he gets it over the water. He won't take any other shot.
And if you watch him, his best, which you do, and everybody watching, I'm sure, and listening does, his best 3-pointers are on set threes, not downhill pull-up athletic threes. Mm-hmm. It's almost like Dwayne. When Dwayne would have bad legs, his jumper was better. They're not. This is not Klay Thompson shooting, the perfect form. They're better on the flat-footed jumpers with less air. And Jimmy will not let up on that because he was hunting that shot.
Yep.
If I'm telling you, if that in and out did not happen that way last year, the play 2 nights ago on Saturday night would have looked differently. He would not have hunted that shot. He would have tried to go to the basket and get fouled. I guarantee you, that shot has taken over his mind. I'm telling you, we're going to see it again tonight.
I think you're right.
He's going to hunt that shot tonight.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Let me ask you one thing, and I know you got to run, but let me ask you one thing. If it's not Jimmy and Bam tonight and they win, who is it? Who's going to have the Mike Miller shoe game? Who's going to have the Jason Williams game 6 against Detroit Eastern Conference Finals game? Who's going to have Battier game, the Ray Allen game? Who's going to have that game tonight in your mind?
I'm going to settle on either Robinson or Vincent. I don't necessarily know which one, but I could see Robinson and Vincent having it because it's got to be someone who's going to get them a bunch of threes. Like that has to be our great equalizer. We're going to have to hit the threes like we did game 6. We played terrible, and the only reason we had a chance, we had a lot of threes, So it's got to be someone who can hit a bunch of threes. So I go Robinson or Vincent. Yeah.
In that scenario, I would actually go Strus in that's like mindset. I keep coming back to one thing. If they ever figured out a way within the flow of the offense to just say to Kevin Love, beat the crap out of people inside, you're always going to have a smaller guy on you. Pummel them. We don't care if you foul out offensively. And I'm talking 10 total points. And by the way, he may not play 1 second tonight. He didn't the other night, right?
Yeah.
But he's the one guy that, could he maybe possibly? Probably not, but I don't know. I'm just thinking
I think he's going to play because I think it's game 7 and the same way that they're going to play Lowry, they're going to do the same thing with Love, where we brought you here for a reason. You've been in this spot before. Let's see what you got. It would be a mistake if we didn't at least give you a look tonight. I think Love plays.
All right. I just want to say one other thing. I want to reiterate something. Okay, this goes to you. This goes to any Heat person out there that has their doubts tonight. Udonis's career does not end in May. Jimmy Butler did not come to South Florida to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bam has not been crowned as the Nets' big thing just to be good at times defensively, a lot of times defensively. This team was built in the mud and the dirt. This team was not built as a favorite. They were built as an underdog. They have thrived as an underdog from the bubble till now. Nothing about this season has made sense. Nothing. And it makes absolutely no sense to win on the road in Boston tonight. And so this season continues because it makes no sense. And we'll talk in June.
What a speech. What a speech. I mean, you want Phil Collins in the air tonight. Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin. Forget about that. Play Evan Cohen in the locker room.
Pepas was playing today. 7 Nation Army in my house. I went Glenn Fry this morning. The heat is on. Let's go.
Wow. That's a good place to leave it, Evan. That's a good job out of you. So you're gonna be very nervous though watching tonight. Are you pacing? What do we do? Do we pace? Do we pace during the game? Or are we on our feet? I was on my feet the whole game 6.
No, I have a specific shirt in a specific spot that I wear. I don't move.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the whole game standing up. Unless we're down by 20 that I got to sit down.
Stop it. Stop with that. Shekid Bavakasha.
Evan, excellent job. Tell everybody how they can hear you, of course. Go ahead.
Monday through Friday, 6, 8, and 9 a.m. Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, NBA Radio, Channel 86, ESPN West Palm a little bit as well, and, of course, on the Zaslow Show 2.0.
Great job, Evan. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, Az.